So for this exercise, we're gonna be working on a staggered stance hinge. And I love this exercise because it's not only a strengthening exercise, but it's a great way to really stretch the glutes, mobilize the hips, and gain some range of motion. So what you're gonna need to start is a coffee table or a chair, just something that's not gonna move on you. And I'm gonna have you set up in a staggered stance with the chair or table just far enough away that kind of when all of your weight is on one leg, you can just barely bend that knee and you just graze the table. We're not leaning into it, putting a ton of pressure. It's just enough that it's gonna cue you to keep your knee in this position. Now, once you're here, your other leg isn't super far back, just kind of a nice narrow stance, and there's really not a ton of weight on that back leg. It's just more of a kickstand. And then you're gonna take your hand of the leg that's in front, put it on the back of your tush, and then the other hand is gonna come on the front side of your hip, kind of on this hip bone you feel at the front. So it should almost be like you're sandwiching your pelvis here. Now, once you're here, all I want you to think about is this front hand just starting by hinging your hips back behind you and coming up. And I just want you to get used to that motion. So just do a few of those where you're keeping your knee touching the table or the surface in front, and you're just hinging your hips back and back forward. You should have a nice neutral spine, meaning your spine should not be kind of overextending or flexing. It's just staying in the same position and it's along for the ride. All of the motion is coming from the hips. So our hips are kind of our pivot point here. So once you're able to just get the feel of the hinge, now what I want you to start looking for is a stretch in the back of your hips here. So kind of deep in your glutes, we're looking to feel a stretch there. So as I hinge back, I'm gonna go nice and slow on this one. And I just want to see if I can start to feel these tissues opening up under my hand. The tissues at the front here, or the muscles at the front, are softening, and the tissues in the back are lengthening. And then once you feel that stretch, I want you to use those same muscles to stand you all the way back up. The entire time, not losing that knee. You're probably gonna get a lot of glute with this, but I also have a lot of calf activation, so that's totally normal if you're experiencing that. Once you get the motion down, you feel like you have the hinge, I want you to play with some holds where you kind of get into this position, and once you're here, I want you to think about really lengthening your spine from like the top of your head to your tailbone. Also, this kind of side space here at like the back corner of your trunk, it's like you're trying to open up the space between your ribs and your pelvis. And if you can really open that up, it's gonna force you to sit more into the glutes. Really play with that stretch. If you feel like you could sink farther into the stretch, go for it, all right? But if you find that you're going farther and farther forward and not getting more stretch, we're probably just compensating at that point. So make sure you're getting the stretch, and then make sure you're using those same muscles you're getting the stretch in to stand you all the way back up. So now what I want to do is go over a few compensations I see. The first one is that instead of getting a stretch in the glutes, people will feel a stretch in their hamstrings. What's happening most likely in those situations is that instead of just hinging back and keeping the knee forward, most likely you're losing contact with the table or the chair, and you're just kind of your knees sliding back, which you might get a little bit of glute, but most likely you're gonna get more hamstring. So just make sure that knee stays in that slightly bent position. Your weight I should have said this too in the beginning, I want you to feel like your weight is right in the middle of your foot. As you hinge back, I want you to really feel kind of this front inner corner of your heel. If you've done any of my pronation, supination drills, you know what I'm talking about with that. So hamstrings, make sure the knee is staying forward. The next compensation I'll see is that instead of hinging your hips straight back, people will start to almost squat down like this. If you're in this starting position with your knee slightly bent, your hips should stay at this height the entire time. They should only go straight back behind you. If you feel like you're getting closer to the floor, you're just squatting. So make sure hips are translating straight back and not down. My glute is literally shaking right now from just doing those few. The last compensation I see very often is at the end of the motion. So they do great keeping the knee forward and hinging back. But as they come back up, what they'll do is they'll come up partially with their glutes, and then their hips will stay back here, and they'll stand up the rest of the way through the back. And if you look, my hip is still behind my knee. I want you to think about is as you hinge back, you feel that glute stretch, and then you should feel like your hips bring you all the way forward. My glute is literally tremoring right now. So hopefully you feel this as much as I do. It really awakens the glutes with this exercise. I love it because it's not only strengthening, but it's also a mobility drill. So make sure that stretch is like first and foremost what you're looking for, and that glute activation will follow. So go ahead, give that a try, do it on both sides. Once you feel comfortable, get rid of the table. Try to do it keeping the knee still, hinging back without that knee wanting to do this. It should stay right where it is the whole time. Hinging, coming back up, and then if you're feeling ready for it, you can always add a weight. Instead of having your hand in the front of the hip, just hold a weight in the opposite hand and hinge, looking still for that stretch, and then finishing the motion with your hips instead of letting the knee just snap back. So go ahead, give that a try. It shouldn't take many of these, and I'm really hoping you feel your glutes like you haven't before.